Hello, everybody. Reverend Abigail here, and I'm very excited to have our candid conversation about diversity today. We have a really special guest, and I'm just really looking forward to it. So I want to start us off with a prayer, and just go ahead and center yourself and tune into whatever you call your creator. It could be God or Jesus or Buddha, Brahman, Atman, the infinite one, the divine. And I recognize and know that this infinite presence is here throughout this conversation, that each and every one of us are divinely guided by the blessings, by this conversation that allows for inspiration and illumination and honest collaboration. It is a co-creation between the three of us and the infinite one itself. And so I'm grateful for this conversation in advance, knowing that each of us are divinely guided with the right and perfect questions and the right and perfect revelations, knowing that this is a blessing and a holy time together. And for that, I'm grateful. And so it is.
And so it is.
So it is.
All right. Well, as I said, I am Reverend Abigail Schairer, and I am the assistant minister at Center for Spiritual Living Seattle. And we like to start off with a little list of our various identities so people can understand the various aspects of my life that maybe they don't know by looking at me, or maybe they assume things by looking at me. I don't know. But the truth is, my ethnicity, my background is German, Irish, and Prussian. I would consider myself in the white race, although anytime I'm asked, I always put human race on there. But I consider my gender identity as female. I use the pronouns she, her, and I'm 45 years old. My sexual orientation is I am a lesbian. I have a master's degree. I would also consider myself middle class. I'm financially secure. My body is able-bodied, and I would consider my body size average. And my marriage status is I'm married to a woman. And I love that my wife is a Mexican-American citizen, so I'm in an interracial marriage. And my spiritual identity would be interfaith. And I grew up Christian, so that is the basis of my faith. But I also study all these other religions that are out there, and I glean wisdom from many of them. So that's me, and I'd like to pass this over to my co-host, Stephanie Ann Johnson, so they can introduce themselves.
Well, hi there. My name is Stephanie Ann Johnson. I will be 40 years old this summer, which is pretty exciting for me. My ethnicity, I'm a Black American. It's part of the African diaspora. I have yet to do the 23andMe to figure out which particular region of the African continent I come from. But my grandmother's people are from Georgia. And my bio dad, his people are from New Mexico. For sexual orientation, I am a bisexual person and or a pansexual person. Pansexual meaning that I acknowledge and am attracted to all of the genders. And I think some of that is because I'm an artist. And when I see somebody that looks like walking art, I'm always like, oh, hello.
Oh, boy. Oh, Lord.
My education. My education level, I have a bachelor's degree, a BA in English. My class size, I would definitely say I'm middle class. I am currently able-bodied. My body size is plus size, if you ask the people that make clothes in America. Marriage status, I'm a single person. My spiritual identity, currently I see myself, as Dolly Parton tells us, as a seeker. I'm open to new experiences with the divine, new ways of connecting to other people and with myself. but my spiritual background, my dad went to Life Center in Tacoma, so like this idea of a mega church was where I came from. Um, my mother and my grandmother came up Baptist in Georgia. But when I was in high school, my grandmother became a Buddhist. So there's the boots and on the temple, the altar, I should say, was in her room for many years, and chanting, and she'd have people come to the house and do this kind of thing. Jay, would you? Oh, I didn't say my pronouns. Um, I'm a they them type person, and I'm if anybody has questions about what that is or how I feel into that, I'm open to answering those questions. Um, so yeah, talk to us, Jay. Tell us who you are.
Oh my goodness. Here we go. Yes, I am. I'm Murtis J. Thompson. I'm regularly called Jay because that's easier for most people to pronounce. I've been called a lot of things besides my given name, Murtis. I was named after my dad, who was named after his dad. So I'm the third. I'm Murtis J. Thompson the third. Born and raised in Arkansas to a great dad. He was a professional entertainer, very charismatic. Maybe some of that rubbed off on me. I don't know, but I do have a lot. I do have a lot of fun. It's easy for me to talk with people because I saw my dad doing that a lot, and it just rubbed off on me. I mean, I used to wonder, why do these people want to talk with my dad? They did, so and my brother and I would have to stand sometimes for hours while he was talking with people about something that we had no idea. But anyway, at the age of 13, being born in the Baptist tradition, I decided to myself that I would find my own path because I really didn't understand what was going on in the Baptist church, where you had to get up and if you did something like going to a movie, you had to confess that you went to a movie, or that you danced. I, I couldn't grasp that. Why you had to do that. You at church. At any rate, I am a master golf instructor. I've been playing golf for a living for a lot of years around the country, mainly on the Mexican tour and the California tour for years. Uh, Went to art school at the Academy of Art in San Francisco, finished that, got my first job teaching back in Arkansas, where I'm originally from. And because I needed a job, I took a job teaching public school art with kids that didn't look like me. Best job I ever had in my life. It was fun. It was a heaven on earth situation for me every day. I'd be drained at the end of the day, but I couldn't wait for the next day. I've never had a job like that. Along the way, originally though, I mean, what I called myself doing is I am a teacher. I decided to be a teacher when I walked off the basketball court when I was about 16, and decided to be a teacher. I had no idea what I was going to teach, but eventually I just followed that path and it has taken me to incredible places. And I'm not afraid of the audiences. I didn't have to learn how to do this or that to present myself because I saw my dad on stage and he did it effortlessly. And my brother and I were sitting on the front row when we were at these events. We couldn't imagine our dad being up on stage in front of all these people, but it was something, and it just kind of just challenged my life, I guess, because I'm doing a lot of the same things that my dad did. I dressed like him, or tried to anyway, because he was an exceptional dresser. This guy, he instilled in me a confidence that has allowed me to overcome all obstacles. I joined the Navy, couldn't swim, had never been on a 10-foot diving board, but I just jumped in, confidence or stupidity or whatever. But I passed my first swimming test. Had never been in a swimming pool. We didn't have swimming pools in the South where I was raised. But I joined the Navy anyway because they promised me a school in journalism that never happened. And that's when I really became a writer because it was at the same time that Emmitt Till was killed. He looked like me. I didn't know who he was, but it affected me because it could have been me. Being raised in the South, you were lucky to get out of their life sometimes just because that you were a different shade of color or whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, well, you can't have this school for whatever reason. Well, I said, I'm not doing anything else. I'm not taking a menial job. You can send me back home, put me in the brig. I didn't care. I'm not going to be a cook. I'm not going to make officers' beds. I'm not going to shine shoes. I didn't come in here for that, you know. But anyway, I eventually was able to write for a newspaper on that base at 17. Had never written anything, not really. I used to write my mother's speeches for church, you know, but that was about all. She said, write me a speech, and I just say, okay. Had no idea what I was doing, but I wrote it anyway. And they said, well, your son must have wrote that. So I don't know how good it was or whatever, you know, but that path has led me in a different way that I never could have imagined. My whole deal, my first love was baseball. And I joined the Navy not to go to war. I joined the Navy specifically to play baseball.
Oh.
I did, not knowing that the Navy even had a baseball team. But when I got there, they had one. And I was able to play baseball for the Navy for 3 years. Bingo. So my life has just been one of trusting and knowing that I was going to be okay whatever I was doing. Probably a large part of my thinking and just positive expectancy was after I met Ralph Waldo Emerson. Who was this guy?
You met him?
In the library.
Oh, in the library?
Yeah, no, really.
Yeah, no, I love
we
him.
didn't have a library with books of that sort. But
Yeah.
for some reason, I was attracted to his writing, especially his essays. The one on self-reliance was the one that was very powerful to me. With self-reliance, I don't know if you read it again. I did a talk uh, on Sandport years ago with Ann Bach
Mm-hmm.
on about Emerson. So I'm still a fan of Emerson. I don't read him every day, but I do read him, and I know that Ernest Holmes' mother introduced Ernest to Ralph Waldo Emerson also.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
basically, I'm just a teacher. And after reading Emerson before I went to the Art Academy, they would have New Thought lectures in the same building that I was taking art classes.
Hmm.
So that brought me back to, as a kid at 13, saying I'm going to find my own path and reading Emerson, called it the law of attraction, or whatever you want to call it. But New Thought showed up in 1971, and the light bulb went off. I didn't know that you could think like that. It's amazing how it just changed my life right away. Not in months. I didn't know about spiritual mind treatments or write them. I've written hundreds of them, whatever, you know. But at that time, it was just a new way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And it grabbed me. And it took my life in a direction that I couldn't have imagined without it, really. So this teaching, it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, I love it. I'm single. I came to Seattle from San Diego, where I had been living for a lot of years and just playing golf 7 days a week until I met Terry Cole Whitaker,
Mm.
who Abigail reminds me of. I mean, really. But anyway, Terry Cole Whitaker had a church in San Diego, you know, and we couldn't wait to get to church on Sundays. In fact, she's the one who stopped me from playing golf on Sundays, so I could go to church. With my guys, where you are you playing with us today? Said, no, I'm going to church. And they said, church? I said, yeah, you know. I was just gung ho for this teaching. I mean, really, and it's been incredible. Just knowing that the sky is not the limit for me. Knowing that anything I want is within my reach. Nothing is outside of my reach. And I used to reach for a lot of stuff that just showed up. It's amazing. It really is. I've studied the other religions, specifically Buddhism. You know, I just wanted to see just what it was about, curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
But my life it's magical. It really is. I laugh a lot.
I know that about you. I
Yeah.
love that.
Teaching first grade with those kids that didn't look like me, I had to develop a sense of humor. Their parents would come in and critique and see what I was teaching these kids. And we were just having a lot of fun. But they'd never seen a person that looked like me that had command of these kids at that time. The school had just been, it was desegregating slowly, but I was the first person there uh, of color to teach. And it was probably the best experience, one of the best experiences that I've had. I've given talks on that experience. I have a video on it that I did at the library on that specific experience. It was amazing. But getting back to diversity, being raised in the South, I used to go to my grandmother's house, well, every day because she had all the food. But my grandmother would see these men passing her home, and she would invite them in to eat, to break bread together. All different cultures: Chinese, Asians, Latinos, white folks, black folks, blue folks, anything. Anyway, she would invite these people into our dining room to have some food. And we, as her grandkids, would have to wait until these people left, had eaten and left and taken a doggy bag with them wherever they were going. I never asked my grandmother why she did that, but she did. And it was not uncommon to see a white person sitting in the kitchen having coffee with my grandmother. I mean, it was at a time when it just wasn't the common thing to do.
Mhm.
But for some reason, my grandmother, she was just a different person. I mean, really, really, yeah, well known and all that kind of stuff, and always
Well,
had
I'm
food.
I'm really curious because when we were having a conversation whenever I first asked you to be a guest, because I've had some
Yeah,
great conversations with you in the past, and we wanted a topic, something to talk about, and you brought up the idea of unconscious bias.
yeah. Books. Believe it or not, I've written 10 books, whatever. But this book that I'm working on right now is called "Dismantling Unconscious Bias." Once I found out that bias is just ignorance, then I just studied this stuff. Why do people think like they do about other cultures? And it's all because it was handed down to them. My daddy said that those black folks, they're lazy, they don't, and they're dumb. And if you're told that, you start to look at people that don't look like you. You start to believe that well, these guys, they. My granddad had said that they were lazy or whatever.
Mm.
I'm aboard ship in the Navy in San Diego. This kid that looked like Alfalfa. Do you guys remember Alfalfa?
I know
She's laughing.
Alfalfa. I didn't watch
Yeah.
Alfalfa, but I know who Alfalfa is.
Okay. This kid it looked exactly like Alfalfa with the acne, the humped over skinny, the hair and everything. We got into a confrontation on the fantail of the ship. That's the rear of the ship. And he pointed his finger at me and said, "My daddy said that I am better than you." Wow. I'm 17. I couldn't believe he said that. My daddy said, how can you be better than me? You got a third eye or third leg or something or what? I mean, how can you be better than me? Really. And seriously, I started to hit this guy, but I looked at him and he reminded me of Alfalfa, and I just broke out laughing. So, you know, I've had so many experiences like that, but I've been able to just dismiss them.
Uh-huh.
If I was called a name, I'm not that. You talking to somebody else? I am not that. Do you know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? So I've been able to overcome a lot of stuff. I'm the first person of color to have a restaurant at a golf course here in Seattle. Did I get a lot of flack? Of course. Did I handle it well? Of course I did, because I had it for 10 years.
That's fascinating.
Oh, wait, looks like Jay's screen froze.
Yeah.
There you are. Yeah, you're back. You froze for a second.
Me, it's hot in here.
You did.
Whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's so
But
good.
yeah, I've had so many experiences. That's what prompted me to write the book about unconscious biases, and there is a way to dismantle them. The brain can be rewired. I'm a board certified clinical hypnotherapist. I don't tell many people that because they don't, whatever, they think hypnosis is weird. It is not weird. It's all about relaxation. That's all it's about. I've never hypnotized anybody. Never. They do it themselves.
Mm.
I just talk to them, and before you know it, they're in a trance state. It's so simple, but you can uncover a lot of things just by listening to people like that.
So what are some tips that you have about uncovering unconscious bias? Like you say, you can dismantle it. Well,
you can just be aware of how you feel about people of different cultures, and know that that doesn't serve you. That doesn't serve anybody. At one time, they were doing this Asian hate thing, and how can you hit an older woman that you don't even know? How can you do that? And they were doing that. Somebody said that these people were whatever, inferior or whatever. I found that out. Look, that's not true.
mm-hmm.
So I've overcome all that stuff. So I've been to places where people of color were not supposed to go, but I just went anyway. You know, it's amazing. Yeah, I don't know whether you call it enlightenment or whatever, but this path with the science of mind, incredible, incredible. I expect something good to happen every day, something extraordinary to happen every day. I left church yesterday with a client of mine, and he gave me a ride home, and he said, "I'm gonna take you to lunch." I said, "Okay." He took me to Duke's
Oh, I love
restaurant.
it. That's nice. Yeah.
Lovely.
Get what you want.
All right.
But before I left home, I had said I expect to have an extraordinary, amazing day today. By saying that, something always shows up. It might be that I found a quarter on the street. That's extraordinary, whatever. But getting that meal yesterday where I didn't have to cook myself, bingo. But I just live, and I don't know, I just took on this. Once you take on this way of thinking, anything is possible. Nothing should be beyond our reach.
You know
I
that.
have a
Go on.
I have a spiritual practice, a daily, not on Kwanzaa, not on Easter, every day is special for me. It really is. Yeah. So I have a lot of fun. Do I
So
have challenges? Yeah.
what is your spiritual practice? What is it?
Meditation, and
Oh, okay.
connecting with the divine. My mind, yeah, I think you know what I'm going to say, is a center of a divine operation.
Ooh.
In that operation, there is expansion and fuller expression. I paint every day. I write every day. I don't teach golf every day, but I paint and write every day. So yeah.
I
And
think
I'm ageless. So I don't know what time is it. I'll tell you how old I am. I'm ageless. It's a
I,
number.
I I'll have you know I wrote that down. That's a really great quote. My mind is the center of a divine operation. I like that.
Thomas Troy.
Thomas Troy.
I've got about 4 books by
Troward,
him. Yeah, Troy. Yeah,
Thomas
amazing,
Troward.
amazing guy. Amazing guy. I've studied him and how he came to be like he is, and his story is amazing.
Yeah.
Like yours is, Abigail. Your story is amazing.
Oh, thanks.
Let's turn your story into a movie.
All right.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I
No,
think
go ahead.
the things that I just kind of want to reflect back, one is that you pointed out that unconscious bias is kind of like given to us, like we inherit these biases that we
If you
don't
hear that a
know.
lot, if you, it just has the brain will accept the negative faster than it will a positive. That's why we have to saturate our mind with positive input every day. Not like I said, not on Kwanzaa, Easter Sunday, or what. Every day, it never ends, and that's my practice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that shifts things. So that's
it
kind of
does.
countering the biases that we have that are not positive biases. We have some positive biases too, which are great.
Of
But
course,
the things that are inhibiting our lives and how we see the world, like those can be counteracted by feeding yourself and living in a space of positive, influence,
Right. Right.
and you're reading these teachers that talk about the connection with the divine and how you're a part of that magnificent beingness, and you
Yes.
reaffirm that every single day. And so
Every day.
every day,
Every
and it's
day.
led to an incredibly successful life. You've written 10 books, you're writing another book, and
Three. I'm writing three more books.
three more
Whatever.
books. You're
Yeah,
on
yeah,
a roll. Yeah, yeah. So I
yeah.
just want people who are listening to you to really catch, like, that's a really key point that you have.
But I attribute all of that to Science of Mind. I really do. Because if I'm having a day that's whatever, I'll just pick up something that Julia Cameron has written or Ernest Holmes has written. It gets me back on track.
Yeah.
So I really don't have any down days. It's might be my last day on earth, so I want to make it good.
Mhm.
And I laugh a lot. I do. So yeah.
You had mentioned a spiritual practice, and for me, I keep a gratitude journal, and I know other musicians that do this as well.
Okay.
Um, and I like to do mine at bedtime, so at the very end of the day. Um, and I set my phone up to ring an alarm for me so that it's 9 o'clock. It's time to write down what
Okay.
I'm grateful for the day. And doing this for over 1,000 days at this point, um, it really has helped me rewire, like you were saying, rewire my
Yes.
brain to look for what I'm grateful for, to look for what is working, to look for what I already have in my hands.
And be grateful for it.
Yes,
You got a chicken in the refrigerator.
that's right.
Okay. Anyway, I'm teaching golf in Bellevue to kids, and we were going out to play one day, and the thought came to me to ask these kids, do they know anything about gratitude or what it is? About 10 kids, to every kid said, no, what is it? Something to eat? Gratitude? Oh Lord, we got no, really. I said, we're not going to go out and play. We're going to circle up. You guys get on the ground. I'm going to sit and we're going to talk about gratitude. And these kids, their parents worked for Microsoft. They had a lot of money. The kids had the best golf clubs. And they probably had more money in their pockets than I did, whatever. But I said, do you realize that some kids don't have shoes to wear on their feet? They couldn't believe that.
Hmm.
They couldn't believe that kids might not have a bed to sleep in. They couldn't believe that these kids might not have anything to eat during that day. They thought that everything was that all kids had everything like they had.
Yeah.
But so we talked about gratitude. Their parents are watching me and listen to what I'm saying about gratitude. A couple of parents started crying because I don't know where that came from. But out of that little session that we had at in Bellevue at Crossroads Golf Course, I wrote a book about that, a
Oh,
gratitude journal for golfers, and
Mm.
it's on Amazon. But I just did. I don't know of of another golf instructor who's done something like that, but the thought just came to me: gratitude, and if these kids know what it's about, to a kid, they had no idea. But I've gotten feedback from those kids, that I kind of changed their way of thinking and to be grateful for what they had. Because this kid had a lot of material stuff, but they had no spiritual connections. So I've done some things like that. I still love working with kids because as a kid in my neighborhood, we had this guy. He would take us out, buy us baseball uniforms. So all I was doing was giving back to these kids what was given to me.
mm,
That's all. That's all I'm doing. It's no big deal. But yeah, yeah. I
mm.
love teaching kids because I have more fun. A person just invited me to teach some kids who they don't have the use of their hands. So the paintbrush has to be held in their mouths. So I've done that before, and I'm looking for that challenge next month. Yeah,
That's really cool. I love that you're doing that.
I love that I'm doing it. I wouldn't be doing. No, I do, and it's fun. It really is for me. But the kids get something out of it. All my classes were great. I never had a kid say, "Oh, I want to go home" or whatever. They, it was amazing the attention these kids gave me in the South, and I'm the only person of color that they've ever. These kids wanted to go home with me. I said, "No, I'm tired." Really, it's amazing. Yeah. So I'm writing my memoir. My memoir, the title of it is called "A Hungrier Heart."
Oof.
Now that says I'm just hungry for more life. That's all it is. I show up just for more life because I know more life is available. It is, and I want to get all of it as much as I can anyway, and give back as much as I can. Yeah.
I think something else I wanted to point out that you had mentioned is just back on this unconscious bias thing. It's like people often don't know other people that are different than them. And
They
so
don't.
and if you're stuck in a certain paradigm, then what you don't know, like you said, that guy, he said he's better than you because he's ignorant, not because like, that's because he was taught that. It had nothing to do with you.
It
But
didn't. It didn't.
really, and for me, it's, I've looked at this unconscious bias thing and I've recognized, like, I want to do like I've done a couple of times in my life where I do a little self-evaluation. It's like, well, look at my friends. Are they of different ages? Are they of
Okay.
different ethnicities? Are they, of
Yeah.
different sexual orientations? Are they of different gender identities? Like, and what areas am I missing? A certain group of people. And so therefore I might have a bias about this group of people because I don't even know them, or I just know what I heard on the radio or saw in a movie or something
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good point, is it's really helpful to expand our horizons by getting to know people different than us.
I attribute that to, like I said, seeing all these different cultures when I was about 10 years old in my grandmother's dining room. Just people. They were just people. What else could they be? Yeah. So that just let me know that people are just people, whatever shades or whatever they show up in. Yeah. I've never had any challenge. I talk with everybody, anybody, and everybody. I met the president of France
Wow.
when I was going to art school. Uh, Pompidou, Georges
Uh-huh.
Pompidou. He was the president of France. He came to San Francisco. I'm working at the airport to make extra money. My first words to him was, "How you doing, man?" No, really. My first words were, "How are you doing, man?" He's I don't know if he spoke English or not, but that was my, "Hey, how you doing?" I respect him as a person, but the position, that's just something else, Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I attribute it all to my dad. My dad, he was my mentor. He was. He would look at me like I was something special. Really? Wow. And I felt it. I felt it. He was not afraid to hug me and my brother and kiss us, whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
I wish every kid could have that. That's what every kid deserves.
I'm looking at his picture right now. I keep it in front of me. I said, "Thank you, man." No, really. Really, because I know a lot of guys, they didn't have a father figure. I was just lucky, really. My dad gave me my first book, which was a dictionary, weighed about 10 pounds, but there were no pictures in the dictionary. So I had to learn all these words, and I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
I'm looking at it right now. Thank you, partner.
As you're mentioning your grandmother, I do have to say, my grandmother worked at Joint Base Lewis McChord in the mess hall for 35 years.
Okay.
So some of my memories are of being in her kitchen and seeing all of the different people that worked for the military.
Okay.
Uh, and there were, and there were different groups of people, and everybody looked different and talked
Of
different,
course.
and the food was different, and it was an experience. I'm also really grateful that my mother, she couldn't afford to keep us in private school as elementary school age kids, my brother and I.
Okay.
So she looked up the superintendent of Tacoma Public Schools, and she said to herself and us, wherever he's sending his kids, that's where you'll go.
Mm.
Really?
And that is exactly what happened.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Great.
That's amazing.
Well, I'm gonna let you know that we're coming to the end here.
You're kidding.
I know. I know it goes so fast when you're
It
having
did. It's over already.
fun. Yeah, yeah. So I just want to make sure we have a couple of opportunities to speak to what we're up to in the world. So, Jay, what's like? Tell us your most recent book that got published. Tell us your next book that's going to get
Okay.
published, and then there's something I know that has to do with art going on as well in your world. So, tell
Yeah.
us about that.
Yeah, well, right now I'm painting every day. I'm hanging with two galleries and CSL. I paint every day. Right now I am starting a YouTube channel because I teach EFT. It's called Tapping Emotional Freedom. It's an energy modality, and I do workshops with that around Seattle and in Hawaii. I go to Hawaii a lot for these workshops. Yeah, so, because I love Hawaii. And each time I go, I hate to leave. So yes, I'm finishing my memoir. I'm excited about that because it's good for me to look and see what I was doing when I was 20. Nothing, probably. Didn't know how. No, really. It My life really took off when I came into New Thought. It really took off because, like I said, at 13, I said I would find my own path. I had no idea what it looked like, but it must have looked like New Thought because I was attracted to Emerson, who I didn't even know. Who was this guy? But
Yeah.
yeah, I've got books by whatever. Yeah, so I'm doing a lot of stuff. Since I've been in Seattle. I've been in two movies. The last movie was The Winter's Tale by William Shakespeare. I was in Homer's Odyssey. It was a stage production with 100 people. They wanted me to tap dance, but I said no, I don't want to do that. My mother was a tap dancer, so I tap dance in San Francisco. I would make extra money, da 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 da. Yeah. So
You never cease to amaze me. I'm just like,
it amazes
what can
me
you do?
that I'm doing all this stuff. Really.
That's
I
so
never
cool.
had a tap dancing lesson, but my mother, when she was fixing our breakfast, she would be dancing and jumping up and down. We didn't know what she was doing, but it must be in my DNA to tap dance. I never had a lesson. And I used to
Wow.
do talent shows, tap dance, da 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 da, whatever. Last week, I gave away my tap shoes to a kid that couldn't afford any, so I won't be doing tapping dance anymore, whatever. Yeah. Life is it hasn't always been rosy and whatever, like whatever, but I was able to look at that this too shall pass. I didn't know it was going to pass, but eventually it did. And
Mhm.
I just go from this to that to that to that. But it's always something better. Going back to Thomas Troy, for fuller expression and expansion, expansion, expansion. I told that to Kathy Ann over at Sandpoint. I took a class with her on something I don't know what it's about, but I talked about expansion, and she said that that's the way life is supposed to be, and it is. It is. I got out of my comfort zone to do research on the book about Emmitt Till, Mississippi and Me, because I knew I had to go to Mississippi if I'm going to write a book about it. Did I
Mhm.
want to go? No, I was scared because no, really, they will kill you in Mississippi just because you're black. But I went anyway, and it was a good experience. So I got out of my comfort zone, and I'm not afraid to go to Mississippi anymore, although I won't be going. But I
Jay, I
had a
gotta
good time
say,
down there.
it's really a blessing to be in community with you and to learn more about your life and your story, um, and more of the things that you do with your life and the joy that you find in the things that you do. It's really a blessing. So thank you very much.
I have a good time. I do. I have a good time. I you couldn't fake this stuff. No, you couldn't. You couldn't. Yeah. And at the new site at CSL, I really feel welcome there. I make myself welcome because I talk with everybody. Anybody and everybody.
Yes, you do. I love that.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So if anybody's watching on YouTube or Facebook or listening to this as a podcast, and it's still June or July time frame, come on down to Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, and you can check out Jay's paintings, which are we have in
Thank you.
hall right now. Yeah. So it's got like nine of his paintings, which is great. Yeah.
I bought a guest to CSL Sunday, and she was amazed. In fact, she was looking for a church home, so I invited her to come to CSL. She came. Well, you met her, Abby?
I did, yeah.
You did, yeah.
Yeah. So, Stephanie Ann, what are you up to? Where can people find you?
Please, Google me, find me on the internet. You can find me on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, and everywhere you search me, I'm Stephanie Ann Johnson. It's Ann with an E, Anne. And if you're going to buy my any of my music online, please head to a website called bandcamp.com. Because when you buy from that site, those people will actually give me the money. They'll send me a little email that says, someone purchased an item, here's your funds, and bless them for that beautiful work. If you happen to be free, on July the 14th is the next time I will be down there at the Center for Spiritual Living to be singing. Shout out to Jake Seeley, who is a fabulous piano player.
He is.
Going to be taking part after service in the Popcorns and Perspective group. We're going to be showing the movie For They Know Not What They Do, talking about LGBTQIA plus people and the church. So I'm very, very excited to get with people who are the same than me and people who are different than me, so that we can all talk about the diversity of God's work and how we are all different, but also all a little bit the same.
Yeah.
All one.
That's right.
Bingo.
Yeah. And you can all catch me on the Center for Spiritual Living website. I speak once a month, and next couple of months I'll be speaking then twice a month, which is great. I will also be at the Popcorn and Perspectives, co-hosting with Stephanie Ann with that movie. And we also, Center for Spiritual Living Seattle has a TikTok page. I made my first video for TikTok on there.
Really?
Debuting on TikTok, yeah, which is great. So, check us out. We got plenty of ways for you to connect with all of us. And yeah, it's all good. So thank you, Jay, for being our esteemed guest this week. It's really delightful to have you. And
Thank you.
Turn this over to Stephanie Ann to give us a closing prayer.
All righty. So as you will, center yourself if that's what makes you feel comfortable. For me, I like to sit cross-legged on the floor. That's what I'm doing right now. That's right.
Okay.
So divine one, divine presence, that special electricity inside of each of us. Thank you so much for this day and these moments to be in beloved community with people I am still getting to know. Thank you so much for the water that I have. Thank you for the family that I have. Thank you for the support I have from my biological family and also all of my chosen family and all of my music family. I hope that everyone that can hear my voice right now can go forward from this conversation, can take something blessed with them, can take something beautiful with them into the rest of their days. And all these things I pray, and so it is.
And so it is.
So it is.
Beautiful thing. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.